Discussion on Hypertext Markup Language, HTML, which is one of the core web technologies. All of us use many applications in our day-to-day lives, such as banking, medical, shopping, insurance, etc. Since these websites are accessible over the network, it adds a lot of convenience. Would you also like to build such applications? Would you like to enhance your web development skills? Then this is the right course for you to start with to develop an application. You need to know 3 core languages of the web: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML provides the basic structure of your web page, whereas CSS adds beauty to the web page. JavaScript can help in adding dynamism to the web page. In this course on HTML, you will learn the introduction to web and web technologies, HTML document structure, basic HTML elements like semantic elements, etc. Lists in HTML, tables for organizing tabular layout, HTML forms for capturing user inputs, HTML embedded elements like images, video, etc. and also HTML best practices. If you like this course, please like and subscribe my Indiamoon channel. Hello everyone, let us understand what is web. Welcome to Indiamoon channel. In this discussion we are going to check out what is web, what is client and server, and the client-server architecture, and then the common web terminologies that every web developer should know. Let's get started. Billions of people use web for everyday activities, such as checking out the latest news, ordering food online, online shopping, and conducting meetings. We are able to access variety of applications from web on different types of devices and platforms too. Have you ever wondered how we are able to access various applications on web through different devices? It is because of World Wide Web. World Wide Web, shortly known as www. As a collection of web documents and resources which can be accessible over internet. World Wide Web is not internet. Even though we use the terms often interchangeably, they are different than what is internet. An internet is a network of devices connected to each other in order to share information such as email, file transfer, and conferencing etc. After internet, the next most common term web developers here are client and server. Let us see what are they. Clients are the network-connected devices. It can be an office system connected to the network through LAN, or it can be a home computer connected to the Wi-Fi, or it can be a phone connected to the mobile network. Clients received services from other systems over network servers, or the systems or devices that store websites or web applications to provide its services to the requested clients over network. When a client device wants to access a web page, client sends a request and the respective server responds to the request with required resources, which gets displayed on the client's web browser. Browsers are called as the translator for the web. It interprets the needed information, which is in the form of text on a web page, and translates the information to the end user. Some of the popular browsers are Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Safari, and Internet Explorer. Now let us see the details on how web works. When we type a web application name in the browser, for example www.example.com, the client finds the actual address of the server connected over the network and request for the service. The server will respond back with the requested resources, which gets loaded on the client's device. In case of any issue in the client request reaching the respective server, or server is unable to provide service due to some issue, then an appropriate error message details will be sent as a response to the client, which gets displayed on the client's device. Now let us revisit World Wide Web. World Wide Web is an information system where billions of web pages and web applications are accessed over the internet from the server by the client. Now let us check out some of the common web terminologies which every web developer should know. Firstly, we have URL, that is Uniform Resource Locator, and then we have HTTP, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and then we have MIME, that is Multi-Purpose Internet Mail Extensions. Now let us understand each terminology in detail. URL, the Uniform Resource Locator, uniquely identifies a particular resource in the internet. It has the following components: protocol, which is used for client-server communication over internet host, and the port. Each device connected over internet will be accessible with unique host name, also called as domain name, and different services will be provided through specific port numbers. If port number is not explicitly specified in the URL, then default port will be considered. Standard port for HTTP is 80. Path. It specifies the path of the resource on the server. Usually starts with a slash, which is sometimes known as web root. Here we have an example for URL. In this case, the protocol used as HTTP and the domain name is my app with default port number. And slash results is a path of the resource to be accessed. HTTP Hypertext Transfer Protocol is set of rules for transferring information such as text box, graphics, images, sound, video and other multimedia files on www. The client and server communicate with each other with an application-level protocol called HTTP. The HTTP is a request-response-based protocol because the client establishes a connection with the server and sends a request. Over the same connection, the server sends the response. Once the response is delivered, the connection is terminated. And if the client wants to send a request again, a new connection will be established, and the client will send a request and the server will send the response. Hence, HTTP is also called as stateless protocol because each request is executed independently without any knowledge of previous request. Let us understand about HTTP request and response cycle in detail. Whenever we type a URL in the browser's address bar to get a web resource over internet using HTTP protocol. For example, if we type http://www.myappy.com/home, the browser sends a request with some header details such as method, type, resource path details, HTTP version, host. The user details EC to the server. The HTTP server interprets the request and returns an appropriate response containing header details such as HTTP version, status code, content type, server details EC, along with the actual content in the body, which is either the resource the client has requested or an appropriate error message. MIME Multi-Purpose Internet Mail Extensions is a standardized way to indicate the format of a resource content from server to the client. Server sends the content type details in the HTTP response header along with the actual content to the client so that the client's browser can interpret and display the content appropriately. Some of the familiar content types are text. It represents any document that contains text and is theoretically human-readable. Image, which represents any kind of image including animated images. Video, which represents any kind of videos including MP4. WMV-Fly-XC application, which represents different file types such as JSON, SQL, JavaScript, EC. Well, these are the common web terminologies that every web developer should be familiar with.
Hello everyone. Let us look at the basic web technologies that every web developer should know to get started with the web development journey. In this discussion, we are going to check out the core web technologies and then a big picture of full stack web application development. The core web technologies are HTML and CSS, scripting languages, web frameworks or libraries. HTML and CSS. We can relate the birth of HTML with the invention of the World Wide Web. It is one of the core language of the web. This is the first technology that every web developer should know to create basic structures for the web pages. If we want to make our web pages more impressive and readable to the end users, then we need to use CSS, that is cascading style sheets, which is used to apply required styles and to format the web documents. Scripting languages. These are the languages that are needed to communicate with the browsers and to make the web applications more dynamic and interactive in nature. Some of the popular scripting languages are JavaScript, Ruby, Python, and PHP. Web frameworks or libraries. Web development frameworks or libraries are essential to reduce the developer efforts. They come with their own methods and packages to develop web application in a much simpler, faster, and efficient way. Some of the popular web frameworks or libraries are Angular, React.js, Polymer.js, Aurelia, and Vue.js. We can develop a full-stack application having front-end and back-end. This architecture gives you a big picture on client and server technologies. We can observe the popular front-end and back-end technologies used to develop a full-stack application. We can also see that the core web technologies at front-end section are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Knowing these basic technologies, we will be able to create our own web applications using the web frameworks or libraries. Well, that is about web
In
technology.
the web technology world, below are the fundamental building blocks of any web page. HTML, Hypertext Markup Language, is the most fundamental building block of the web. It defines the meaning and structure of web content. CSS, Cascading Style Sheet, is used for styling and giving better presentation to the web pages. JavaScript, JS, is used for implementing behavior required in a web page.